Everyone, welcome back to our World Learners session. It's great to have you along, joining me live this morning, whether you're here live or whether you're on catch up. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have you had a busy week? What have you been up to? Who got stuck into the Antarctica project? Well, I know lots of you did. I saw lots of posts across social media, people sharing what they've been up to. It's been brilliant to see. Well done, everyone. There's been loads of great learning this week. Should we do a few shout outs before we get going? We've got Georgia, Eleanor, Willow Rose, Hannah, William and Samantha. Hi to Matthew and Jack joining us live today. Welcome along to Ebony as well. Popped in there on the chat. And Eve and Aurora are here too. Oh, they've all suddenly appeared. Hello to George, watching live today, George. Fantastic. Instead of on catch up. And Willow and Caden, Jacob and Finley and Ethan, Timmy and Iris, Ollie and Finley. Gosh, there's loads here. Malachi's here too. Welcome along to everyone. Right, shall we get started then? So we're moving somewhere a bit warmer today, thank goodness. We're moving away from Antarctica and we'll be zooming in later on a different continent and zooming in doubly even closer to a country within that continent. So we're going to start, though, like we did last week, we're going to start by zooming out and we're going to look at some at the different ways that we map our world, just like we did last week. We're going to revisit our lines of longitude and latitude and have a go at reading some of those and working out where some places are. I know some of you have been practicing doing that and have found some activities already. So this is a chance to put those skills into practice. And then we're going to zoom in to the continent of Africa and zoom in closer to the country of Nigeria. So for a quick activity to get our brains warmed up, let's have a look at the oceans of the world that surround all of our continents. So we looked at continents last week from lots of different perspectives, working out which one was which. So this week, I wonder if you can label the oceans of the world. We've got them numbered there. Have a look at that world map. You've got the oceans even listed down the side there. Can you match up which goes where? Have a little go at that. We've still got people joining us. So while they all come in, this gives us a little starter activity. Hello, Thomas and Isabel, who arrived in Tenerife yesterday. Can you spot it on the map, you two? Watching all the way from Tenerife. Hello, Clem and Connie, Myra and Ava, Charlie, Lucy, Naomi, Arthur and Tobias. I think I've got everyone. Right then, so can we label these oceans? How are you getting on with this? Perhaps you're really hot on your oceans and you know it and you've done it already super quick. Some people might need a little bit longer. We might only be able to name a couple. Have a little look, see how we get on. Right, we're pretty sure that number one seems to be the Arctic, we think. Okay, what about number two? Anyone got that yet? Well, we think number 4 is the Southern Ocean. And Finley thinks number 3 is the Atlantic. Anyone agree with Finley? What are we missing? We need 2 and we need 5. Oh, Hannah, William and Samantha. Boom. Straight in. You were very speedy on that. So we're thinking, let's have a look. Tobias thinks, yep, number 3 is the Atlantic, agreeing with Finley there. Number 5, we think could be the Indian Ocean. And what about number 2? Hannah, William and Samantha, I think you got it spot on. The Pacific. Shall we check? Let's see. Okay, so there they all are labelled. So yes, we've got the Arctic at the top, the Atlantic, the Southern down at the bottom, above Antarctica, and then the Pacific and the Indian. Well done if you got those, or even if you just got a couple. Fantastic. Well done, guys. Right then, let's have a look at another little activity here. So maps can be used in all sorts of different ways to highlight different things in the world. We've got a map here that is highlighting where tropical rainforests are in the world. And quite often we might just think of the tropical rainforest as being perhaps only in one particular continent. Maybe you think of South America when you think of tropical rainforests. Well, we can kind of see why, because look at South America. A large portion of that is marked with the green to show tropical rainforest. But have a look at the other continents. Tropical rainforests are spread actually all across a few different continents. We don't have any in Europe. We definitely don't have any in Antarctica. But they pop up all the way across. Now, have a little look at where they are. And we've got 3 statements at the bottom there. Now, one of these is correct, but which one? Is it number 1? Tropical rainforests are only in the northern hemisphere. So what do we mean by the northern hemisphere? Can you remember last week? We talked about the northern hemisphere is the part of the world above the equator, to the north of the equator. So tropical rainforests are only in the northern hemisphere. Is that correct? Number 2, tropical rainforests are mainly found between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. Or number 3, tropical rainforests are only found on the equator. Which one of those is correct? What do you think? Are those rainforests only found along the equator? Are they mainly found between the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn? We looked at these lines of latitude last week, didn't we? Or are they only in the northern hemisphere? George thinks number 2 is true. Loads of people are agreeing. Let's have a little look. Yes, number 2. So we can see there that, well, yes, there are a lot of tropical rainforests on that equator line. They do spread above and below that, but they are between the Tropic of Cancer, the Tropic of Capricorn, and we call that area, can you remember, the tropics. And there they are, those tropical rainforests. There's a couple of points in Asia, isn't it, where they drift sort of slightly above the Tropic of Cancer. But generally, yes, that second statement is true. Right, let's do a quick recap, shall we, guys, on our lines of latitude and longitude, just to remind ourselves what we talked about last time. So there they are, the lines of latitude going across and the lines of longitude going vertically up and down. So lines of latitude and longitude, they're invisible lines. They're on the globe, and we use them to identify precise locations on the planet. We've got our latitude horizontal, and our most commonly known latitude line is that red one around the middle, the equator, and the lines of longitude, those are the vertical. We've got our prime meridian line there marked in red. So lines of latitude, I quite like this diagram because it shows us that cross section of slicing through, reminds us that it goes right the way through the earth, that invisible line. So the equator is that line of latitude which divides the planet horizontally around its middle, and that's always labelled as 0 degrees. Then we've got the other lines of latitude, and they're numbered according to how many degrees north of the equator they're located, or south of the equator they're located. So we start on 0 at the equator, we can move north up the lines, a degree at a time, and then we can move down south. The north and south poles are at 90 degrees north and south of the equator. Then we've got our longitude. We've sliced the Earth in half again for this one. So we can see them going right through the middle. Our prime meridian is a vertical line of longitude, and that runs right through the middle of London, England, through, can you remember more specifically where it runs through? I hear anyone shouting out. Through Greenwich in London, and that's our 0 line. And then we go east and west from there. All the other lines of longitude, are numbered according to how many degrees east or west of that prime meridian they are. Okay, so shall we have a little go at finding some locations? Let's have a look at this. Right, so we've got a point marked on our map there. So remember, we're measuring these latitude and longitudes in degrees, and that's represented by that little circle that we would put next to it, next to the number. And then we'd put whether it was north or south or east or west, which way are we moving. The location is then written. So that's when you've written out that location, it's called coordinates. And when we're writing the coordinates of a place, the latitude, the north or south, whether we're going up or down from the equator, that's always written first. So we'll start with finding the latitude. Okay, so let's look at our example there. We've got A marked on the map there. So starting from our equator line, can you find it? The 0 degrees line. Have a look at which line we've moved up to get to A. So we've moved up, we can see, to the 30 degrees. Yes, spot on. Well done, guys. And then let's work out our longitude. So find the 0, that's the vertical line, find that prime meridian, and then see if you can follow along. We're going to the east, aren't we, to get to the letter A. And can you find the line that it's on? So if you look up from the letter A, we can see what degree is it at? 60. Well done. Okay, so we've got, if we wrote that one out, there it is. Our latitude is 30 degrees and we've gone north, we've gone up from the equator, and our longitude is 60 degrees and we've gone east from the prime meridian. So if we write them together, it's 30 degrees north, 60 degrees east. Brilliant. Okay, so what if it doesn't fall on one of those neat little points where the two lines meet? Well, then we start to break our degrees down. So degrees can be broken into even smaller units, and those are called minutes. So a bit like how we measure time with hours, minutes, seconds, these are called the same thing. So if you're breaking up that line, we would have minutes, and then you can break it down and zoom in even closer for things like satellite navigation. If we really want to pinpoint exactly where the place is, we would zoom in again, and that would be seconds. And you can see in the writing there on the left, we've got how minutes would be written with 1 dash and then 2 for seconds. So I think I've got, if I remember rightly, yes, I've put an example here of, we're only going to look at this for a little bit because I know it's quite complicated. So we're just going to look at one example of using minutes and seconds to locate somewhere. And we're going to do it for Nigeria because that's our country of focus for today. So Lagos in Nigeria, so its latitude is 6 degrees and 27 minutes north of the equator. So if you look at where it is marked in by a B on the map there, you can see it's really only just north of the equator, only 6 degrees. And its longitude, well, how far east or west is it from that prime meridian? Again, not very far at all. It's almost on it, isn't it? It's only 3 degrees east, 3 degrees and 24 seconds east of the prime meridian. So it's almost bang on to the equator and bang on to the prime meridian, isn't it? Only slightly out. So when we write that together, we can see it at the bottom, this more exact coordinate of 6 degrees, 27 minutes north and 3 degrees, 24 minutes east. So that's how we would use those minutes. But we're going to stick with looking just at degrees. So I've marked a position here on our map. I wonder if you can tell me the coordinates for that dot. Where is it? So remember, you're starting with your lines of latitude. So find your equator line and then find what's the line of latitude that dot is on. And then you're going to find your prime meridian line, the 0 degrees, slice down the middle and tell me what degrees that, and is it north, south? Is it east, west? See if we can add that in as well. So I'll give you a little bit of thinking time for this one. Okay, so we've got our answers popping in. Well done, guys. So if we start with the latitude, have a look at that latitude line that it's on. It's moved south, hasn't it, from the equator, and it's on the 30 degrees. And then what about the longitude? Well done. Lots of you getting this spot on. The longitude is almost a little bit harder to read because remember, our longitude lines aren't straight. They're following that curvature of the Earth. So we've got to curve up to see or down to see which degree it is. And it's 120. Well done. So there it is written. There's our coordinates, 30 degrees south and 120 degrees east. So don't forget to add whether you're going, which direction you're going in, south and east in this case. And where is that on the map? Can you tell me which country that is? Which continent are we in? Which country? Can you even tell me what city it might be near? Well done if you said that's, well, actually the continent is marked, isn't it? Oceania. But the country is, yes, Australia. Well done. And we're just slightly west of Perth, I'd say, would be the nearest city there. Well done, guys. Right, should we try another? Okay, the dot's moved. Have a little look at where this dot is. So see if you can work out the coordinates. Start with your latitude. So find the equator. See if you can think whether it's north or south for that. Get the degrees. And then find your longitude. Some of you are getting the hang of this now. So find your longitude. So for the longitude, find your 0 degrees, your prime meridian, the one straight down the middle. And then move along those numbers at the top. So we know we're going west. Lots of you have put, yes, we're going west. How many degrees west are we going? So if we move along from that central one, we're moving 30, 60, 90. Well done. Let's have a look at the answer. There we go. 60 degrees north and 90 degrees west. So we've gone west this time. Can anyone tell me where the dot is though? Which continent are we in? We can see it marked on the map. We're in North America. Which country in North America? Do we know? Which country are we in there? Well done if you said Canada. So we're in Canada and we're sort of on the edge of the Hudson Bay there, that bit of water there. Well done, George. Well done, Finley. We got that. Right, let's go on and try another. Right, the dot's moved again, guys. You're doing brilliantly at this. So start on with your line of latitude. Find your equator. Are we going north or south? What's the degrees? Off you go. So we're going, well done, Marvin, super fast. Oh, Marvin, have a look at your second coordinate. You're spot on. We've gone 60 degrees north. Have a look. Have we gone east or west from the equator? East or west? Right, let's have a little look. 60 degrees north we've gone. So from your equator, we've gone up to the 60 degrees line, and we've gone only 30 degrees east. So if we look at that central prime meridian, we're on the 30 degrees line. Well done, guys. And where are we there? Well, we're kind of, I would say, on the border of Russia and Finland, I think, there, aren't we? It's a bit hard to see. The dot kind of covers quite a big area. Maybe more Russia there, perhaps like St. Petersburg area, do you think? Yeah, maybe. It's quite tricky to see, isn't it? It's quite a big dot in comparison to where the country's borders are. I think we're sort of Russia, Finland kind of area. Right. Okay. Oh, we've got one more. Oh, gosh, I got carried away making these, didn't I? Are you still with me? Come on, we could do one more. I know this is the last one. We're right down at the bottom now in Antarctica. Let's do this last one together then. So our latitude first. And don't forget the north or south. What's the degrees? Are we north? Are we south? And then the longitude. Oh, some of you are very quick this time. I think we're getting the hang of it. Well done, Arthur and Tobias. Lots of answers popping in. Yeah, it's 60-60. 60 degrees south and 60 degrees west. We've gone west this time. Well done. And we're right on the tip of Antarctica, aren't we? Probably the most sort of northerly point of Antarctica. There's a kind of a group of islands there. I know one of them is Elephant Island, so we'll say we're around about Elephant Island, let's say. A bit hard to be more accurate than that. But you can see then why you might need not just degrees, but to break up those lines further into perhaps the minutes and the seconds, to zoom in and zoom in and zoom in if you really needed to pinpoint your location. Well done, everyone. Right, that was brain power. I'm very impressed. Okay, then. So let's see. What are we moving on to now? Oh, well, time to zoom in, I reckon. Shall we zoom in and find out a little bit more about the country that we're going to be looking at today? We're off to Nigeria.
Welcome to Nigeria in West Africa, a country of remarkable geographic diversity and one of the most influential nations in Africa. The country is shaped by major rivers, the Niger and the Benue, which meet at Lokoja and are vital for transport, agriculture and power. Agriculture thrives along these rivers due to their fertile floodplain, allowing for cultivation of crops. In the centre of the country are the highlands, like the Jos Plateau, which provide cooler climates. The Obudu Mountains mark Nigeria's more elevated eastern landscapes. Nigeria's vegetation zones vary greatly, from dry savanna in the north to dense tropical rainforest in the south. The climate ranges from arid in the north with seasonal winds to humid in the south with heavier rainfall. Let's explore the diverse landscape within Nigeria and take a look at how the climate here shapes life in this country and makes it so unique. Get ready to travel across one of Africa's most diverse and fascinating countries. Let's dive into the geography of Nigeria.
Okay, so let's start off then by thinking about the continent that Nigeria sits in Africa. I wonder how many countries in Africa we can name between all of us. How many can you name? Can you think of any African countries? Well, we know Nigeria, there's one. We had a special week of wonder about another, some of you might remember, earlier this year. Perhaps you visited a country in Africa. Perhaps you have family there. Yeah, Finley, Egypt. Well done. We've got lots of answers popping in now. Kenya, South Africa. Well done. Lots of you saying Egypt. Yeah. Awesome. Good ones popping in. Oh, gosh, you're going really quick now. Botswana, Kenya, Mozambique, Nigeria, Kenya, Cameroon, Benin, Zimbabwe. Fantastic, everybody. Well done. Oh, I reckon we've got a lot between us. Chad, Algeria. Have any of you been looking at some of these with our Africa focus this week? I know Lizzie on the Home Learning Hub's been sharing lots of activities for you. Okay, fantastic. Right, let's have a little look at some. Ding, right. Our map's been transformed and we can see lots of different countries there. So lots that you said there. Any that we'd forgotten about? I think of Madagascar sometimes gets forgotten about there on the side. Yep, loads of your answers were all in there. There's Egypt, the top right. And can we find Nigeria? You spotted it. Well done. Right. So we're going to have a little think then about, firstly, Nigeria's position. So it's in West Africa. It borders, have a look at the countries that it borders. It's a little bit, it's hard to read there, isn't it? But it borders Benin, Niger, Chad, Cameroon. Which ocean is its coastline on? So which ocean is this below Nigeria here? Have a think back to the oceans chart that we labelled at the beginning. Yeah, that's the Atlantic Ocean. Well done. And Nigeria is really close to the equator. We know that from looking at its latitude and longitude. The southern edge is only 4 degrees north of the equator. So what do you think this means for its climate? The fact that it's that near to the equator. Have a think about the rainforest diagram we looked at earlier. Have a think about what we know about the temperatures around the equator. What does it mean for its climate? George thinks it's very hot. It's tropical, Rose and Violette. That's great. Wet and very hot. Wet and hot. That's the theme with the comments. We think it's, yeah, perhaps wet and hot, but Clem and Connie, yeah, hot and arid. Tropical. It's desert. There's a lot of different things coming up now. Hannah, William and Samantha think tropical. Finley says humid. These are great words, guys. Well done. Dry. Yeah. Okay, well, we're kind of all right because it's a really, really diverse climate. The climate in Nigeria is mostly tropical. And we can see on that map picture there, if we look at where Nigeria is, I should have marked it on there for you. We can see that it's in that band of tropical rainforest, but not the whole country. So it does mean it's warm throughout the year, but there are distinct wet and dry seasons. So why does Nigeria have wet and dry seasons? Why do we think that is? You can have a look here on the map here. We've got different areas being marked, and we can see that in Africa, we've got that tropical band. If you look at Africa, that red band in which Nigeria, the majority of it falls, but the yellow band above is the arid, more arid area. So that doesn't get as much rainfall or gets less rainfall throughout the year, has more distinct wet and dry seasons. So what could be the reason for that? Yeah, you're right. Rose and Violette, it kind of does almost have two different types of climate, yeah, across the same country. Well, I'll tell you what, it's because of this little thing, the Intertropical Convergence Zone. And luckily, that's normally shortened to the ITCZ, Intertropical Convergence Zone. This is a band of low pressure. It's near the equator where the winds from the northern and the southern hemispheres meet. They converge and they force warm, moist air to rise and cause really heavy rainfall. So we're going to have a little look at, hang on a minute. Before we have a look at that, do please slide with me. I've got a Kirsty special, a little model to demonstrate this. Let's have a little look. I haven't made this globe. The best globe I could find, guys. It's a little bit hard to see the countries. It could do with being a bit more brightly coloured, but there we go. Right, we can kind of see that. So we've got Africa here, and here's Nigeria, just about there. Right, we better add in our equator line. It is marked on here, but I don't think we can see it that well, so I'm going to stick one on. Right, there's our equator. Now, what have I done? I've done it again, haven't I? I haven't made this bigger. Let me get rid of this. Ta-da, that's better, isn't it? You can see it a bit more clearly now. Sorry about that. Right, so we've got our equator right round the middle. Now here we can see Nigeria in Africa. Right, so the ITCZ, the Intertropical Convergence Zone. Got something here to demonstrate this. So it's a band of low pressure and it's near the equator. It normally sits about there. But we don't want to stick it on too much because it does move throughout the year. So here's our low pressure. What is low pressure? What causes it? Well, it's caused by really intense, consistent heat from the sun. We know that those countries around the equator, they get the most intense heat, don't they, from the sun? That's what receives the most direct, most concentrated sunlight throughout the year. It's all powering on this line. And this heat warms the air, making it less dense, causing it to rise. So this is kind of actually rising. It's a little bit above the land, okay? Right, now we add in the mix of these winds called trade winds. What are trade winds? Well, they are steady surface winds in tropical regions that blow from east to west. So we're going to add some in here. Let's use these arrows. So they blow from east to west, or more specifically from northeast towards the equator and from southeast. Here they come, blowing in across. How's that? Can we see that? There we go. Right. So we've got in the northern hemisphere, the trade winds are blowing in from the northeast. In the southern hemisphere, they're blowing in from the southeast. So the trade winds from the northern and southern hemispheres, they're going to meet. And they meet, forcing this warm air to rise further. It's going to rise up and up and up, and it's going to form towering thunderstorms and really heavy rainfall. You might, if you've done a little bit of research on Africa already, you might have heard of the Harmattan, which is the name of one of these trade winds, and that directly affects Nigeria. So the Intertropical Convergence Zone, this band, it shifts during the year. It's always drawn towards the area of most intense solar heating. So it does move up and down, and it's this movement that causes the wet and the dry seasons in lots of tropical regions across the whole world, so not just in Nigeria. When it moves to a particular area, so let's move it right over the top of Nigeria, that's when we get a wet season there. Remember, Nigeria's got a tropical climate, varies from north to south. The north of Nigeria, mostly hot and dry, but it has a short rainy season thanks to this. And the south, hot and wet with lots of rain. And central is a great mix of both. So this is where most of the farming happens. There's a mixture there of forest and grassland. Well, hopefully that helps make a bit of sense of it. And it's all thanks to those trade winds. They're really important. Here's something interesting. You know why they're called trade winds? Well, that goes back to the historical tradition of trade, of sailing ships, moving across the oceans, and how important those strong winds were at helping those ships to travel. Right then, so if I pop this back up, here we go. So the ITCZ location changes throughout the year, just like we were moving it up and down there. It's always drawn towards the warmest area. So that annual movement, that's what causes our wet and dry seasons in lots of tropical regions. Okay, so I thought we'll have a little look at one of these next. This is a climate graph. I think you've looked at one of these before with Chrissy, those of you that have been coming along to World Learners for a while. So climate graphs, they combine line graphs, which show average monthly temperatures, and bar charts for total monthly rainfall. And they put them both on the same graph, on the same chart. So we can see that wiggly red line along the top. That is showing us the average monthly temperature of Nigeria. Well, this is Lagos in Nigeria. And the bar charts there, those blue bars, that's showing us the monthly rainfall. And if you look along the bottom, you can see the months listed there. So they're along the x-axis on the bottom. Temperature on this side, measured in degrees Celsius, and precipitation, rainfall, measured in millimeters. So that side, we're looking at the bar chart. This side, we're looking at the line graph, the wiggly line. Okay, let's see if we can analyze this a little bit then. Which month of the year has the lowest precipitation, the lowest amount of rainfall? So have a go at that. What are we going to need to look at? The bars, because there are precipitation. So which bar is the lowest, and can you find the month of the year that happens? Well done. George, you were speedy then. January. We can see January, if we find that column, the one on the far left, that's the lowest bar, the smallest bar, isn't it? At under 45 millimeters of rain. Okay, what about the average temperature in July? So have a look. This time we're looking at the temperature. So we're looking at our line graph along the top, that red line with the dots. Find July on the bottom, move up to its dot, and move along to the right for working out the temperature. So we've got to do a lot of following along these lines here. Well done, guys. 25 degrees, pretty much spot on. What about the last one? Is the temperature higher in March or October? So we're looking again at the temperature. So the line graph part of this chart. Have a look at the temperature for March. Have a look at the temperature for October. Which one is higher? It's a bit tricky, isn't it, to see, I think. So March or October? I realise it's a bit fiddly on a screen. Let's have a look. So the higher temperature was March. You were spot on, 25 degrees, and January, the lowest rainfall. Fantastic. Well done, everyone. Right, so let's have a move on then. We'll move away from climate, shall we? And we'll look at a bit more information about Nigeria. Let's have a look through here. Right, so we already know Nigeria is a bit of a patchwork of distinct regions. We know we've got deserts, plains, there's swamps, there's mountains, there's steamy jungles. It has one of the largest river systems in the world. So it's a really diverse, interesting country in terms of its geography. We've got the Niger Delta, which extends over an area of 14,000 square miles. That's one of the world's largest deltas. A delta, do we know what that means? Part of the river. Can you tell me what a delta is? Do we know? What is a delta? Any ideas? What's a delta? Anyone had a look at rivers in detail? I know you might be, it takes a little while for any comments to pop in for me. Okay, what do we think? Clem thinks, is it the bottom of the river? Could it be, we've got a few answers here. Could it be the ocean? So maybe the point where the river meets the ocean. Finny thinks, is the delta a marsh? Part of a river? George says, a flat and big area where the river meets the sea. Really wide part of the river. Well done, guys. Okay, so let's have a think then. So a delta, yes, I think we were on the right track there. It's the end of a river. It's a large kind of silty area where the water in the river slows down. It splits off perhaps into various channels. Deltas happen, yes, where the river meets an ocean or lake or a wetland. So well done. Okay, so it's got this huge delta where that Niger River meets the Atlantic Ocean. And much of Nigeria is covered with plains and savannas. These tropical grasslands spread out as far as the eye can see and are interrupted there only by trees and shrubs. So there's a lot of Nigeria that isn't vastly populated. Yes, there are cities, but there's a lot of it that that isn't lived in as much. So not an urban environment at all. A lot of savanna, which means lots of wildlife. We'll have a look at some of those in a sec. So Nigeria is home to rugged highlands called the Jos Plateau. This is a really large area with a high altitude. There's extinct volcanoes there, and the highest point is 1,829 meters. That's in the sheer hills. And then to the east of Nigeria, where the country borders Cameroon, is the most mountainous region. So we've got big mountains over there. And these areas, not only great for wildlife, but also attract tourists as well to the area. We've got a few landscape facts here too. So a lot of this we've kind of looked at already or mentioned it before. Let's skip down to the natural hazards. So some of the natural hazard events that can occur. We've got soil and coastal erosion, flooding, desertification, drought, air pollution, heat waves, deforestation and soil degradation. So I suppose a country that has quite a varied climate is going to have some difficulties, isn't it? Because of those dramatic changes in weather, because of those hot and then dry seasons as well. Let's take a couple of those words. What about desertification? What does that mean, do you think? Desertification. Any ideas on that one? And let's have another. Let's pick deforestation. What do both of those mean? Desertification and deforestation. Maybe you know what one means. Have a think. What does that make you think of? Desertification and deforestation. Vinny said isolated. So desertification makes you think of an isolated area. George says desertification means a place becoming drier. Yes, George. What about deforestation? The idea is there, chopping down trees. Well done. Clem, deforestation is the permanent removal of trees from forests. That's a really insightful way to put it. It's the permanent removal. Yeah, so not cutting trees and replacing them with new. George says deforestation means trees being chopped down. Yeah. The loss of forest, Tobias. Removal of trees. Yeah. Cut down trees to make land for houses and other things, Jessica. Yeah. I think we're all on the right track here. Let's have I think then. So desertification. Let's start with that one. So desertification, that is, you're spot on. It does become land becoming drier. So it's when a fertile land that might have once been good for growing crops or to have lots of plants there, a once fertile land becomes a desert. So the cause of this could be a drought. It could be because of deforestation, of cutting down trees, or it could have been that it's been over-farmed, so threatening agriculture or the practices of agriculture. So why is that a bad thing? Well, lots of reasons. We want fertile land, we want plants and things to be able to grow, but it's also going to endanger any wildlife that inhabits those areas as well, isn't it? So how can we stop desertification? Well, think about what causes it. So we can plant more trees, we can try and improve the soil quality, we can manage the water better. So building things like dams in the wet season can sometimes help to then support those areas through the drier months. What about deforestation then? So lots of you are saying, yes, cutting down trees. Deforestation is when humans cut down or burn large areas of forest. And that's to make space for, one of you said, for houses and things like that. So for increasing an urban area, for farmland, it could be, for using trees as fuel, or it could even be for planting something different, so planting a plantation of one particular crop or plant. Well done. Right, let's have a look at, I'm going to skip on a little bit because I wanted to look at, there we go. Let's have a look at some of the animals. So these slides that we're looking at now, they're all in the resource pack that I'm sharing with you this week, the Nigeria World Explorers Resource Pack. So you can go through these and you can take your time with them, pick out the facts that you might want to include if you're making a lap book, for example. Right, so let's have a little look at the animals here. So we've got, because of the diverse landscape, there's loads of different species of wildlife that are native to the area. We've got lions, gorillas, giraffes, antelopes, and the savanna elephant as well. If you're wandering around Nigeria, you might spot an ostrich in the grasslands or a cuckoo in the rainforest. Even a black-crowned crane, there's one in the picture, aren't they beautiful? Which is the national animal of Nigeria. Look at that. You can see why it's called the black-crowned crane. It does look like a big golden crown, doesn't it? But due to hunting, destruction of their habitat, some of these species are now endangered. Many animals, they're starting to work with solving this problem. Many animals are now in protected areas, in national parks and things, but it is still a problem. We've got to really try to protect that wildlife, haven't we? Right then, well, I thought we would finish off today with a puzzle. Let's have a go at this. So we're going to have a look at some Nigerian landmarks. So these are places in Nigeria. So in the photo, you've got a picture of a particular Nigerian landmark. But which description of these is correct? Is this A, this is Zuma Rock, north of the city of Abuja, Some people believe that the contours of the surface of the rock show the features of a human face. Can you see a human face in there? Or is this description right? This is Uluru, a solid sandstone rock which is 500 million years old. It's in an area called the Northern Territory. Uluru means island mountain. What do you think? Or is it C? This is Sugarloaf Mountain, named after its shape's resemblance to the traditional conical shape of sugar loaves from the 16th century. Which one is it? We've got a mix of answers. We've got a few B's. We've got some A's. I think most of you have ruled out C. Alyssa thinks it's either A or B, but which one is it? Well, the ones that it isn't, they are descriptions of other rocks. But which one is the one in Nigeria? Shall we find out? We're split between A and B, I think. I think it's a tie. It is A. It is Zuma Rock. It's north of the city of Abuja. And yeah, some people believe, it's not a great photo to try and see it. You might want to look this one up. I think there's some photos in the resource pack as well that you can look at. Some people think there is a face shape kind of within the rock there. So well done if you went for A. B, does anyone know what that was? That's a description of a very famous rock in Australia. It used to be called Ayers Rock, now called Uluru. And the bottom one, Sugarloaf Mountain, it's not in Nigeria. Sugarloaf Mountain is in Rio de Janeiro, yes, in South America. Right. Let's have a look. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it was that one. Just to prove I'm saying the right one. Okay, let's try another. We've got 3 of these. This is number 2. Here we go. So this is a photo of a Nigerian landmark. But is it A? This is the Taj Mahal. A ruler named Shah Jahan had the Taj Mahal built as a monument and tomb for his beloved wife. Or is it B? This is the Abuja National Mosque in the country's capital city. It is a focal point for Islamic worship. Or is it C? This is Sanchi, a site that comprises a group of Buddhist monuments, including monolithic pillars, palaces, temples, and monasteries. Well, I reckon those of you, we were paying attention there. I think you might have noticed we've got the name of a place being repeated in this. There's a bit of a clue. Most of you have spotted it. The Abuja Mosque. Yeah, so Abuja, the capital, we mentioned in the last one. So it is B. Well done. The other 2, both real places, the Taj Mahal and Sanchi, but one in India. Sanchi, I cannot remember where it is. It's also in Asia. Let's have the last one. Right, here we go. Our 3rd and final Nigerian landmark. This is the Vasco da Gama Bridge. It's a cable-stayed bridge with approach viaducts that crosses the Tagus River. Or this is the 3rd mainland bridge. It's the longest bridge in the country and connects Lagos Island to the mainland. Or C, this is the Golden Gate Bridge, which crosses from Presidio to the Marin Headlands, easily identified by its distinctive colour. We're getting good at this. What do we think? There's probably ones that you could maybe rule out. I reckon there's one you could rule out pretty quickly. Yeah, we think it's not C. We're pretty determined that it must be B. And we mentioned Lagos earlier in our session, didn't we, when we were working out the grid references? It is B. Well done, everybody. The others are real bridges, but they're not that bridge. That bridge is in Nigeria. Fantastic. Well done, guys. Oh, it's been a long one again. I'm so glad but you're stuck with me. Right, I'm going to whiz through what I've shared with you, but you can find all of these in the link below this video. Activities for you to have a go at this week. You might have found this one already, but it's a great little treasure hunt to work out longitude and latitude. And you have to find lots of different puzzle pieces and then work out the final destination. So that's a bit of fun, and it's great for practicing your longitude and latitude reading. We've, of course, got our World Explorers Nigeria pack. So if you're creating the lap books to support this Adventure of the World topic, grab this one this week. That's your Nigeria one. And the PowerPoint we were going through earlier, that's bits of that are from there, so you can do the full PowerPoint, have a look through all those photos as well. And then I've shared another great resource. This is about Africa as a whole. So if you're looking at the whole of Africa and you want some extra material for this, this is a great one, and it's got some quiz questions at the end too. And then if you want to dive in even further into climate graphs, which we had a look at earlier, I've shared a couple of resources for this and an introduction to biomes as well. So we're talking about rainforests, savannas. Have a look at this if you want to think about all the different types of climates and biomes that there are across the world. Plenty for you to be getting on with this week. And join me next week for Mapping Our Glorious World, because we're off to Europe and focusing in on the country of Romania. I can't wait to explore that with you. So have a fantastic week, and I'll see you all again. If I don't see you before for Magic Suitcase or Pathfinders, I'll see you next Wednesday. I'm glad you found it really interesting. Thanks, Hannah, William and Samantha. Thanks for joining me, everybody. See you again really soon. Well done today. Have a great week. Bye.